But first of all, maybe we just start a little bit with your journey. I mean, you've had a crazy journey. You've kind of been there and done that. You know, you obviously were part of that ICO back in 2018, $40 million for Fantom. Later, you replaced the CEO. And now the last 12 months, you guys are blowing up. What's that been like for you personally, those 4 years? It probably is more like 40 years. What are some of the highlights and lowlights?
Yeah, that's sort of a great question. I mean, kind of my background is that I grew up in Sydney and I studied finance and IT at the University of Sydney, and I actually managed to get quite a lot of blockchain experience at the University of Sydney, studying with a professor that we're closely working with to do with analyzing virtual machine instructions and essentially like finding bugs in smart contracts. And so, before I started working on Fantom, I was working for a software development company called Blockade, which is growing to be quite a big company now. They worked on like a few big projects, most notably like synthetic network token, or as it was known back in 2017, it was called Haven. So that's one of the big projects that they've worked on before. And, I later started a fund, as you mentioned, and then with Fantom, there was, a lot of ups and downs. So obviously like the project started to get like a lot of like hype back in 2018, kind of like on the tail end of the ICO boom. The ICO boom were all these like initial coin offerings that people were creating a lot of these projects, and a lot of them were, not very good. Some of them, turned out to be actually like pretty good projects in the end. But there was, a lot of like, I guess like fast money in that environment. And so like Fantom kind of did a nice deal on the tail end of that and ended up getting like a lot of hype and traction, which was exciting. However, the problem was that the original team, was telling us that they had, technology that was already built, that was already in testing mode, and that was going to be, vastly superior technology to Ethereum because they could confirm transactions faster and more cheaper than say Ethereum. And so that got us really excited that this could actually be like a major platform. However, it kind of turned out that they didn't really have anything, to be honest. They were just like making stuff up, to put it bluntly. And so that obviously, caused a big problem for us. And so we're thinking, what do we do now? And then, I do have to say that like Andre Cronje, he's quite famous in the space. He was working with Fantom right from the beginning. He kind of convinced me that, we can still try and actually like fulfill the original vision about having this fast scalable consensus, and he had a lot of ideas around it. So we kind of had to build a new team and got pretty lucky in terms of we got some really good hires that are still with us from the early days till now, that kind of help us build this new technology. And so we were able to eventually launch like fast scalable consensus, as was like per the original vision, towards the end of 2019. And so I think a lot of people were kind of surprised because they kind of saw Fantom as like a bad project, just one of these other ICOs that took place and that would be forgotten. And so in 2018, 2019, most people thought that, we were dead or we didn't really exist. So at the end of 2019, I think quite a few people were kind of surprised that, we kind of like launched the technology in the end. And then so in 2020, we started getting a little bit more traction, started improving on the technology. And in 2021 is when things really took off. I think one, because, the market capitalization overall for cryptos went up. So there was a lot of hype around cryptos again. I think two was that the Ethereum gas fees were getting prohibitively expensive. So people were looking at alternative platforms to use, such as Fantom and others. And I think number three, there were like a couple of really good projects that launched on Fantom, like these like decentralized exchanges called Spooky Swap and Spirit Swap. That had a great user interface. And so that kind of helped us get a lot of traction where we started getting like the positive feedback loop where, we had great initial ecosystem projects that attracted more developers, attracted more users to kind of get to the position where we are now. So that's really been the high more recently. And it's been, really great to see going through kind of like a tougher period to a period where it's now looking a lot better than it was before.